Okay, and thank you guys so much for joining us this week. We have Amour Love. How are you?
I am fantastic amongst this humidity that we have in New Brunswick. I tell you, it's nice to have all the trees, but I could wish for the ocean to just mediate that temperature. So if you see a fan come up and do this, don't wonder I'm not being dramatic. I'm not being extravagant, although that is part of the deal. It's more or less just to keep my temperament and keep my body temperature cool.
Absolutely. Ontario, we are a scorcher too. So
Oh,
I'm feeling you, darling. Now, happy Pride Month.
happy Pride. I know I am absolutely thrilled to be here, and especially during this month where love is love. We have this special time of the year where we get to captivate society and to focus and put the spotlight on very precedented issues. And there's nothing more important than finding love within yourself.
Absolutely. And you are such an amazing advocate for that. Exactly. Just to kind of give our viewers a little brief overview here. So I stumbled upon Amour when one of our East Coast members posted the story time that you do with the Canadian Mental Health Association. And now, mind you, the books are more geared for kind of children type,
Right.
but I was absolutely captivated. Absolutely captivated. You,
We're all kids at heart. And I think that when it starts off that we forget that moment, we put so much pressure on ourselves and we say we have to have our white picket fence, we have to have a stable job, we have to have a focused and trajectory of where we're going, is when we forget that that's a journey in itself. And I look back at my younger self all the time and I just wish that I would have had the resources. I never would have been able to even stumble across something like this. And I cannot believe that I was given the opportunity and a platform with such a professional and such a near and dear organization, such as the Canadian Mental Health Association. I'm very open and transparent about my mental health issues that I struggle with and have struggled with in the past. It's been a roller coaster ride. And as I'm sure many people can relate to, it's not always easy to be able to try to identify what exactly is going on in your life. And sometimes just having somebody else voice their concerns, their values, and their experiences can really hone in on the importance of what it means to just be real with yourself and have those frank conversations, those in-depth, right to the nose to the grindstone, no fluffs and buffs about it. It's just, it is what it is. And we all need to hear sometimes that it's okay that you're going to have low days. You're going to be in those moments, and especially our kids. When we were kids, it was such a different world, and it's going to be a different world in another 15 to 20 years. And it's keeping evolving, which is good. Evolution
absolutely.
is key, and evolution of oneself is even more important. And to never let our youth believe that they are just going to be stagnant, or that that one situation in their life is going to be the entire entirety of their life. Because as a kid, I thought that when I was struggling with depression and suicide, that it was going to be like that forever. I was so defeated in thinking that there cannot be another way to live. There cannot be another way to express oneself. And it was debilitating. It was crippling. And I missed out on so many opportunities that I wish that I could have looked back and said to myself, go for it. Go for that role in the play. Wear that outfit you want to wear. Do your hair the way you want to. Say that comment that you've been itching to say that's just is sitting on your heart. And for everyone else to hear that, if you're watching and viewing, do it, go for it. As long as it doesn't hurt yourself or others, then it is okay. It means that you're being you, you're being authentic, and you're loving yourself. And that seed that you plant, no matter what age, will grow and take root into your life, and it will start to resonate in your actions, your values, your expressions, and other people will start to notice, what do they do differently? How did they get there? And to be able to have these books and these resources about love is love, loving oneself, the self-confidence in yourself. I don't think we can say that enough to kids, because between the social media platforms that they are all on, between all of the hate mail and all of the bullying and the cyberbullying, I mean, I'll age myself a little bit, but I remember when I first got my computer in 1996. Ooh! And I was on the, I thought I was just on cloud nine. I had MSN Messenger, could do all those little emojis, and just waiting and waiting for that to sign on. And then when it signed on, finally, to see all of my friends, but then to not get that love, to not get that authenticity. I could already look back and see the seed of doubt being sown before the seed of love was ever planted. And it's taken me years to uproot and garden myself, to really dig deep and to find that little pit and just exterminate it, rip it out from the roots. And it left a hole. It left a hole in my life. And I know that when Miss Amour came into my life, she was just a garden of self-positivity and love and encouragement, and fear as well. A fear of not being able to uphold what I thought was going to be me, and the fear of what others might think. Combating against my internal viewpoints that I was raised with. These we in therapy call the lenses, the filters that we all look through. And it's so true, because we don't even realize they're there until somebody says, "Did you ever think of taking those lenses off? Try these ones. These ones might be more your prescription. These might be fitting your situation better." And once I put those beautiful glitz and glam glasses on, I was like, "Oh, I've been living in just under a bushel, and I just am so excited that I've been able to take root and go with this. And I'm so honored that you've been giving me this platform as well to be able to express this."
Oh, and we are so honored to have you, and you're such an amazing advocate for both mental health and the community also. So I just, if you don't mind just kind of telling us, and I do, ask with all our guests, with our pinup guests and everything, kind of like you say, how you kind of develop this persona, really, Amour Love. So kind of how did Amour Love, and what was your inspiration?
Mm. Well, first off, welcome everybody to this fantastic channel. I want to express my gratitude and taking the time to be able to share this beautiful story, because a lot of people don't get to really understand what is behind the art, what is behind the transformation. So I identify as she, her, and they, them when in drag. I think that's very important to start off with, that pronouns are to be given a nice focal point. I know a lot of people are nervous, confused, and misguided. There's a lot of misinterpreted information out there, and that is just another thing that people have to think about, another thing they have to worry about. I want people to know that it is okay to stumble, but it is more important to get back up when you stumble. So if you do misgender somebody, if you do use the wrong pronouns and appropriations, then that you make sure that you say, "I'm so sorry, what do you identify as?" And so that's just a little tidbit to people out there listening and wanting to learn. I'm no expert. I am not an expert on anything that I speak of. I have a background of nursing that has given me a holistic experience and ability to understand a little bit more about mental health and my own health. So when I was in school at UMB, I was never at any point could see myself doing drag. I had no idea even what drag was until about 4 years ago. And so I just really stumbled across this beautiful transformation recently in my last couple years. I've been doing drag for the last 2 years full time. Again, just learning about it, but to be fair and honest, I will be very transparent. I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea about the identities behind people and the experiences that people could go through with drag. I just thought it was some individual that wanted to live a extravagant life, somebody who wanted to be seen more than heard. And I couldn't have been any more wrong. So when Miss Amour Love finally came to fruition, I was stumbling across a chance, an opportunity at my local gay bar to be able to perform. So there was a calling out to everybody in the community who wanted to try drag. This is your chance. So we had at Boom, we had a little series that was "So You Think You Can Drag?" And it was a perfect opportunity for newcomers to explore their sexual identity, to explore their human creativity, but more importantly, to find that self within them, that other side, that other facet. I believe as human beings, we are a complex organism that is biologically proven, but more importantly, holistically, we are even more complex of what makes us who we are. So Mitchell Goodine, underneath all of the makeup and wig and the outfits, was just a shell of who he was supposed to be. He felt like he didn't have a voice. He felt like that voice was not worth hearing. And Miss Amour came into my life by me exploring other sides of living, listening, really listening. And I've never left, it's never left me the saying is listen with the intent to hear, not with intent to respond. And so I listen therapeutically, and that just means listening to every word and letting it sink in, letting it really resonate with me. And people were talking about drag more and more with me. People were exploring that. I had some friends who were in drag, and I was listening to their story, and I seen a side of them that I never had seen before. And I loved it. I loved that side of them. And I thought, gee golly, if they can do it, maybe I could too. And so I dabbled into a little bit here and there. I put a little bit of makeup on. You would die laughing to see my first attempt at drag. Woo, honey. I went as Kate Middleton on Halloween. I was a Halloween queen. In society, we are often told that it's not okay. Even still today, we are told it's not okay to put a wig on, to wear feminine clothing if you present yourself as male. And that's not okay. You're just confused. You don't know what is going on in your world. But to be honest, those people know more in tune about what's going on in their world than the other people do.
Absolutely.
And so once I picked it up on that and I seen the self-love that was there, it was just an absolute gorgeous transformation. I've been growing as an individual more and more. Every time I paint my face, it's a therapeutic technique that I have to stare at myself for 3 hours. Well, I'm getting down to 2 hours. I'm snagging those times there. And I can't believe the ability to just look into your eyes and to just paint and keep going. I always try to use that time to reflect about my life, to reflect about where I'm going. And I use that sacred space. It's a very sacred opportunity for me. Some people have music and they get themselves pumping. That's amazing. Some people have their friends to help them. That's even better. A community really does raise a child. And a community, the LGBTQI plus two-spirited community really raised Miss Amour from the ground up. So I started this journey, again, just with the intention of just exploring myself. I knew I was gay, but I didn't really accept it. I was still hesitant about what that meant. What does it mean to be gay? Everybody told me it was a sin. Everybody told me that I was a bound first line ticket right straight to the purgatory gate. And I knew that that wasn't okay. I knew that wasn't right, but I didn't know what else there was. And so when I finally started to explore and to dabble into the art of drag, to find songs that meant something to me, to find looks that resonated with me, that's when I really started to have fun and enjoy myself. And my self-confidence is just going up every time. It goes to a new level. The glass ceiling has now become an open sunroof where I am just shooting into the sky, where I don't have any limits. And drag does that for you. It allows you to take hold of your life right by the horns and just ride it for all it's worth, to just go for it, to just take it as far as you can, because you only have one life. And debatably what is afterwards is open for debate, but I know for certain what I'm feeling right now. And I know for certain what I'm living right now, and it couldn't be any better. Miss Amour is not a counselor for camp positivity. I know my therapist always says, we're not here for camp positivity. Not everything in life is bubbly. Not everything in life can be joyous and great. And sometimes the glass half full is just a glass half full. And that you wish that it could be overflowing. So in my church and upbringing, we'd always say, "Filleth up my cup till it overfloweth with joy," and that resonated with me on different levels, not a spiritual level, but as a personal level. And I thought, if people take religion and do that with their life, what else could I do in my life that would have the same outcome, that would have the same positive experience, that my cup would overflow with? And to the point where then I have an abundant resource of love within myself to draw from. So when I have those negative moments, those days where I wake up and I don't understand where I'm going with life. I am 30 years old. I work at a retail store at the front where I greet people and ask people to sanitize, and the clean carts are over there. I don't have a house. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have kids. I don't have what I expected at my life, not just 10 years ago where I supposedly seen myself where I would be today. So through all of that confusion, Miss Amour was always that quiet, subtle love, that when I did find that happiness, that I did find that joy, that's where she was. And once I gave her the chance, and once I gave her the platform in my life to speak, she's never stopped. And anybody who knows me will laugh because she's never shut up since. And I don't want her to. I want to give her the chance, the ability to shine, because when she shines, I shine. And we both are together as one. But this persona, this living, breathing, living art form that you see today is just simply a blessing and a opportunity for me to be who I was truly meant to be.
Absolutely. Now, do you find, since you've been Amour, do you find when you're Mitchell, do you find that you're more confident than you were 6, 7 years ago, that you, even though you don't have that full persona, but you still, it's in there, but the fire's a little bit burning a little bit more, and that comes out, and that confidence and everything?
Exactly. Mitchell still has a lot of struggles. That I can never deny. I'm human, just like everybody else. It's interesting because I often say to my friends and fellow drag mates that when I'm Mitchell, I do feel a little bit quieter. I do feel a little bit more closed in, and those thoughts, those negative autonomic thoughts that I was drilled into my head come back with full force because they think, oh, Miss Amour's not here, we can get away with this. Almost like a parent is not in the room. And so then you get to act out a little bit, and sometimes acting out in the negative way. And I still struggle on a daily basis with being that positive energy that Miss Amour is. But every time I get into drag, that confidence gets another log on the fire. What you hear and see is Mitchell, is authentically me. The words and the values are all the same. So that's what I really like to hone in on. Some performers and their personas are completely 180 to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You see them outside of drag and you would never know it. You would never know that's the same person. For me, it's pretty easy to see the connection. I have oftentimes when I'm out of drag, people, fans of mine will come up and say, "Are you Miss Amour Love?" And it's just because of how I speak, talk, hold myself, and act. And I think that's the biggest compliment. I think that's the biggest reason that I keep doing what I do, is that not only am I making a difference in other people's lives, I'm making a difference in my own life. Every time I get in drag, it gives me that fuel and that confidence to be a little bit more me.
Well, and let alone what you're doing for everybody involved, like the kids and adults and everyone. You know, you're such an amazing voice and an advocate. And I think it's, even though we have Pride Month, you know, it's something to be said that, you know, you guys, you all just, you speak of such love that should be done 365. It shouldn't be just a month, and it shouldn't be, you know, this is the time that we've got to, you know, be who you are and everything else. And pinup is a lot like that. Like a lot of us, we're not all in, you know, corsets and petticoats and you know, exactly, we're not all in that every day. But when we're in that persona, you know, we're totally different. We're that more up and um more speaking out and everything else. And it's too bad that we don't shy away for we just keep that in more when we're when we're on our own and stuff like that. Whereas I feel that with Pride Month, it just seems now, before it used to be, it seemed like before it used to be a week, like years and
Right.
years ago.
Just a snippet of self-love.
Right?
You only get to be yourself, truly yourself, societally accepted for just a little tiny bit of. And I always joke and say, Pride Month is all years for me. It's the whole spectrum for me. Every day is Pride Month for me. Anybody part of the LGBTQI plus two-spirited community probably will relate to that. Is that every day living and breathing and growing and learning, it's another opportunity to be more yourself. It's another opportunity to see another part of you that's always been there.
Yeah.
And you can hear it from all walks of life. You can hear it from your bosses, your friends, your family. But the most important voice is your own voice inside you. Yeah. And Pride Month gives you that opportunity to just let that voice flourish a little bit more. It's like Miracle-Gro. It's like a big shot of injection. That was not the middle finger. It was supposed to be an injection. Yeah. I just realized looking up, I was like, oh, no, Miss Amour, no. It was just a shot of love into yourself that really just, to be honest, it's like my energy for the year. It gets me that fuel that can continue that love, that continue that thought pattern every day. Monday through a Friday, on the weekends, whatever the celebratory month is. I'm just given that opportunity now that I'm hoping to share with others and to distill that love in others, so that come next month, come August, September, October, that they're still feeling that love, that their love bucket is still full. Because we really do have these imaginary buckets above our head. And that's one of the books I read, was your self-love bucket. And it was about a child who, you know, had to put positive words of affirmation, had to put positive, encouraging thoughts in the bucket. And every time that they were mean to themselves, mean to others, and let negativity dip in, it was taken out of that love bucket. And eventually, if we let that happen, it's going to drain slowly and slowly and slowly. And that's when you notice that maybe days get longer. It's harder to smile. It's harder to keep that positivity. But if you can find your own reservoir and not rely on other external factors outside of your life to influence you, that's when you can start to really be your own self-love. That's when you can really start to be your own well of positivity. Especially when you run into, which we will, I will continue to have days that are bad. I will continue to have moments that are weakening myself, where I think I'm going to bend and snap. And it's not about the moment that defines me. It's about how I act on it. Mm-hmm. Those moments are learning moments. It's not everybody is given a book about how to be the perfect individual. Perfection is an illusion. I paint for the illusion, so I know about illusionary views and values. And it's just, eventually, if you tell yourself that you can do this, you will be able to get through this. Some way, shape, or form, you've done something like this. And if not, this is a new learning moment to add another tool to your tool belt, so that when you have that same event, you're not so afraid. You can draw on your past experiences and say, well, I've had plenty of people tell me that what I do is absolutely ludicrous. My friends and some of my friends of religious values, and my family specifically, they don't talk about what I do. I have no idea. For instance, I'll give you all a little snippet. I just went to my sister's baby dedication of my niece, Octavia. Gorgeous little darling. Oh my goodness. Blue eyes as big as saucers. Absolutely adorable. We're going to have to get like a fly swatter to keep the people off her. And when I was showing, we were having a talk with my aunt and a family friend who came in, and she had eyelashes on, the family friend. And my aunt looked at her and said, "Are those real eyelashes? Because I love them," blah, 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 going back and forth about how they wish they could wear them too. And my family friend looked at me, because they know I do drag, and they're like, "Oh, well, Mitchell, why don't you speak on this?" And I froze instantly. And I was like, uh-oh, is this a moment that I'm able to share? Is this a moment that they're going to understand? And I just smiled and said, yes. Well, and I just started speaking. I brought out my phone and I showed my drag pictures to my aunt. The look that they gave me was more or less a look of fear, a look of confusion, a look of disbelief. They didn't ask me if that was me. That I'm assuming they knew it was me. They didn't ask how I got there. They didn't ask what I do. But I didn't let that stop me from just simply looking past all that and seeing an individual who wasn't confident about themselves, that didn't understand self-love. And although they have a church in their name and they have beautiful artistry, voices within their own religious community, I seen in themselves that they didn't even know what that meant. And so I had a beautiful moment where I was able to relay to them, well, what I do is about simply bringing out the love and the positivity in other people. What I wanted when I was a child, what I deserved growing up, and not to shame them, but to simply highlight where they could correct and move forward, and more importantly, make it a part of their life, make it a part of their thought pattern. And I said, listen, if ever you want, invite me down and I will show you how to put on lashes. And I was like, the best trick is to put the eyeliner on first and use that as a guide stone so that you know where. And they were baffled.
Good to know.
Right? They were just, and make sure you put the eyeliner on first and then after as well, because the illusion is that you want to make sure that it looks like it's all that one seamless look, right?
Oh my gosh.
So, anywho, I had that moment where I don't know what they were thinking, but I didn't let it stop me from being able to take that next step forward and to share a little piece of myself. I didn't start going, yes, honey, you need to just slay the day. You need to own life. There's a time and a place for everything.
Absolutely.
And I think to have that sincerity, that moment, like you were sharing, when we get into our regalia, when we get into that moment, we're still ourselves. We're just a heightened form of ourselves.
Exactly.
Many people say that makeup covers you. It hides you. It puts a mask on. Well, I couldn't disagree anymore. What I do brings out me.
Exactly.
It brings out myself. And Mitchell, who has to deal with the negative looks, and when I dress androgynally, when I blur the lines of gender, because gender is fluid, it's like water. Let it wash over you. Let it bathe in it. Because then that's when you can truly feel like you are just being you. You're floating through life no different than anybody else. And who are they to cause such waves of catastrophe and negativity in your world? Because they are uncertain of their own, they may try to get you on their side because they're scared. They're scared. They don't know about what could be out there for them, and they are safer in the confines of their limitations. They're safer with their values that they were born with. And I think you and I both can agree we are so different than what we were when we were at age 10, 15, 18, 20, 30. It's becoming a transformative experience where you are able to really own who you are and what that means.
Yep.
We're not stagnant creatures. We are a beautiful ability to process the world around us. And as the world changes, it only makes sense that sometimes we need to as well. And I could not be any more different than what I was so many years ago. And I look back going, I honor that young man. I honor that little boy who struggled and strived and knew there was something more to life, knew that there was something else out there for him. And he just had to keep clawing and waiting and growing and nurturing that voice inside by listening to other people, listening to their stories, listening to their experiences and thinking, gee, if they can do it, what can I do in my life? So now I say, if a United Pentecostal boy born and raised in the fear of God can do this with his life, what can you do in yours?
Absolutely. And that's the great thing about Pride Month, is that it gives so many people the opportunity to hear those stories that you wouldn't have heard 10, 20 years ago, and have that those role models. And even just like you're saying, going back to the Canadian Mental Health Association and doing those story times, those books weren't written 10, 15, 20 years ago.
No,
So to
those
have
guys are new.
Right. We were raised to, you know, mom, dad, children, this, you married and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'm 42. I've never been married. I don't have kids. I've gone the complete opposite of everything. But, and at 42, I feel like now I'm starting to live my life. I felt like the first 40 years I had to try to get to where I'm supposed to be, but who needs
Right?
that? Like,
Isn't
and
that, I know, and to be told that as a child, well, I mean, let's be real. If you're a kid with an adult looking at you that you look up to and say, you're never going to feel yourself until you're 30. Excuse me?
right.
Excuse me? I am not waiting till 30. I cannot wait to, I'll be like, I'm checking out. Never mind. Next. Check, please.
Right.
Like, I could not have been any more discouraged to know that it was going to take this long to get here. But what needs to be said is that it's a journey, it's a process, and to enjoy it, to stop and smell the roses that you have along your path, because each one of those experiences, good or bad, is going to show you where you are really meant to be, show you who you really are or are going to be in the future. So some of the books that I read tonight, one of them is Grandpa's Camper. And it speaks about a granddaughter going to see their granddad and how he then relays about how he had a loved one, their grandpa, and how they traveled. Oh, I just even, well, just thinking about it, because I am not here because of magic intuition of life and that society just woke up. I'm here because of people who passed and died fighting the values that I am able to express. I am here being able to be who I am because of the lives I never get to meet, but the people who treaded and paved the way before me. And so honoring their path. I can't imagine that at 30, I'm able to be so happy. At 70 to 80, they were still living in fear.
And in hiding.
And hiding, not being themselves, dying to
Exactly.
show who they are. And it just breaks my heart. You only have one life to live. And to
that's
live
something you
that
push that, yes.
in the fear of what others that believe, and the fear of what your family's going to think. The fear of not being able to live. And people say, oh, Miss Amour, it's so easier said than done. You're right. It is a lot easier said than done, but not doing it is even worse.
Yeah.
Not taking that step is even worse. And I know for a fact that most of the people back home in Perth and over do not understand at all what I am doing. They think that I was born a man and I'm confused and that I want to be a woman. Well, I'd be honored to be a female. The empowerment and the positivity and the ability to take what life has given everybody is just an honor. But what I am is just who I am. I'm presenting as a female with a male inside, that I am so proud to say that in between that too, I am a they, them, and that they are thriving and that they are now surviving in this world of toxicity where I never thought it was going to ever be possible. So to those watching who are older and those who are fearful of still what other people may think, I know that I can say that my life has not been like yours, and it hasn't. And I've been given opportunities that you were never been able to experience. But at any point that you feel that you can be yourself, even if that it is through online excursions or through online exploration, or maybe it's through single meetings outside of your town, take those opportunities to just feel what it feels like to be you, because I promise you, once you get a taste of that, you'll never go back.
And again, you always push this, is that you only have one life. So to be happy, so to find that happiness, be it whatever it is, and you know, just follow your heart and just be who you want to be. So I think you are such an amazing trailblazer in the fact that you're paving the way for so many young people that you know, in 10, 20 years we'll be looking back and going, oh my God, remember that Canadian Amour Love? Like
I still
grew
don't
up
believe that
reading.
it's possible, right? I don't believe that it can happen, because I still try to remain that kind of small, humble, I guess not small, humble, quiet self. But there's not always a time and a place for that. Sometimes it's okay to be loud and be proud and be positive. Give yourself the love that you know you deserve. And that, maybe, again, we say love a lot because it is love, Pride Month. But the more important thing is to give yourself the affirmation that you know you deserve. If other people don't say it, I'm sorry to hear that, but know that you deserve that. Know that when you look in the mirror, that you have done something, that you woke up today. You went to work today in a toxic environment where coworkers look at you, talk about you, snicker and snare, whether it's maybe in high school, maybe it's in the healthcare, maybe it's in business, whatever it is that you're working at. Maybe when you come home, you don't have a nurturing environment. Maybe you were dealing with stuff at work, at home. No matter where you go, you were always combated, fought tooth and nail for who you are. I just remember that feeling. And once I started to surround myself with different opportunities, with a healthier environment, with maybe new friends that love me for who I was, pursuing a career that may not be the most lucrative, may not be the most prestigious, but it gives me the opportunity to be who I am. I never would change it in a world, and in a second. A lot of people this weekend when I went home asked me, "So, Mitch, what are you doing with your life?" I said, "Well, I'm a, cashier at Marshall's, and I am an artist on the weekend. And I use what I need to get myself through life. What are you doing?"
Good for you.
And they didn't have an answer. They had the simple, same stagnant answer. Still at this place, still working here, still doing the daily grind, Monday to Friday, because that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Right.
Well, as long as your bills are paid, as long as you have a roof over your head, which I do and I'm grateful for, I have a kitchen I can cook in, I have food in my fridge, I have clothing I can wear. I am blessed beyond means. There are thousands upon thousands of lives on this planet that do not have that ability, do not have the same outcome. And to them, I live my life as much as I can for them, but for me.
Mm-hmm.
To share in that moment that I know others can't do this. So I'll be darn tootin' if I can't and won't, and share what I have and share what I can. I don't need a 5-story home. I don't need gardens galore to walk through. Would I love one? Yes. Would I love to have a garden? Yes. Would I love to have a property all paid for? A car that I don't have to, say a little Hail Mary before I start to make sure that it doesn't, the engine doesn't roll, or that I don't hear this really weird sound. I'm not a mechanic. God bless, my father was, and I took that for granted. I dropped the car off when I came from university. He'd go out, take it, look at it head to toe, and have it repaired before I went back. I never knew the ability of what it means to just simply have things. But these are just all materialistic things. Once you detach yourself from making your values and beliefs only directly linked to all the things you have, to all of the things you are, whether it's your job, whether it's your finances, whether it's your religious beliefs, whether it's your materialistic values of your items, that's when you can really start to see through all of that clutter who is inside, who is looking back going, "Hi, that's a really nice chair, but I'm here sitting on it."
Oh, you just radiate such positivity. Honestly, I love listening to you speak, and it's been such a pleasure chatting with you. I will, so while we're chatting, I am going to announce that Amour Love is going to be one of our celebrity judges for our Miss Canadian Pinup 2021. So thank you so much for agreeing to be a judge. We really appreciate it.
The honor is all mine. As we spoke before, I said to you in private, but it's worth sharing that I was having one of the lowest days that I had for a while. And when I read that message, I I just couldn't stop smiling. I ran out to my partner. I was like, babe, look, I'm going to be a judge on Miss Pinup 2021. And he's like, what does that mean? I'm like, I'm going to learn more about it, but I'm going to be a judge on Miss Pinup 2021. I don't care. Like the fact that somebody is looking at me and wanting me and my opinion, my values. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. So you don't even maybe understand how much it means. And so for you to hear it, Nikki, for you to understand, I can't say it enough that what you do, what I do, what we do is giving the opportunity for others to come and have a safe space.
Yes.
Have a space where they're loved, encouraged to be who they are, and to grow and to learn what that means to be who we are. It sounds so obvious, but it couldn't be any more the opposite. We have so many things in this world that are telling us how to be, what to be, where to be, and why to be it. And if people aren't given the opportunity to have that loving, nurturing environment to really sit back and feel that, it's just a shame. It's a darn shame that there's people out there that don't have that experience, that can't hear this love that is exuding out of every pore in my body. Well, every pore that's not clogged with Krylon. It's just a bewildering experience that I can't thank you enough for being able to be a part of.
Oh, well, and I felt it was such an honor that you accepted, but I feel that you represent Canada so well. Like you're just so humble, you're so kind, and you're such an advocate for two amazing causes that that you really put yourself out there. That is really hard for a lot of people to do in both mental health and in drag and everything else. So it's, to be able to do both of those, I cried when you wrote back yes. So we were both in tears that day.
Oh, well, I mean, I speak from my heart. I've been blessed with the gift of gab, with the rhetorical responsibilities that I feel is imposed upon, is granted and blessed upon me, not imposed. I took oratorial competitions when I was younger. I never stopped talking, so I figured, well, geez, I got to find something to do with it. And so I wrote on everything in the book, and made it to the provincial level every year. Never won the provincials though. Never won the provincials. Oh, I never won the provincials. I tell you, looking back, I'm like, oh, I should have just memorized that cue card, because that's what was the difference, is that everyone else got up there and they knew what it was. And had I been speaking from my heart, I know I would have done it. But now I'm given the opportunity again to be able to use that same passionate, same voice, but on a different, grander scale with a more important message. I was speaking about all kinds of things that didn't have any relevancy to myself. And that's why it didn't resonate with me. And that's why I didn't key into it. When you speak with passion, whatever the topic is, people listen. Because there's so many people that speak about everything. They never stop talking about stuff they don't even know about. So when you start to hone in on what makes you you, that's when you start to really get noticed. That's when you start to really shine. And I think we both can speak from experience that being able to do these kinds of opportunities, being able to present ourselves in a more extravagant level, only simply reflects about how beautiful we can be. It showcases the other facet of us that has always been there. It just deserved more attention than it ever got before.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm so excited to meet these young individuals who are going into this competition with that experience and with that knowledge, and knowing that you are going to make a difference, if not in your life only, but in the lives of people around you. Don't take for granted the ability to be able to be a light in a dark room. Don't be afraid of that. It can be nervous at first, because unfortunately we're told that to stand out isn't always good. Maybe you weren't taught that. Maybe you were brought up in a different environment where you were told to be everything you can be. And if that's the case, awesome. That's amazing. But not everybody is given that opportunity. And for those, I say, listen and learn and grow. You are given an opportunity to better yourself, but to better your community too, to
Mm-hmm.
better the lives around you without even knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
I never get emails and messages all the time about the lives I impact. But when I do, it humbles me to beyond belief to know that I've made a difference, that big of a difference in someone else's life. In another human being's existence, I was be able to distill that love, that self-confidence, and that encouragement. I always end my drag story time with, I don't know where you are, and I don't know who you are, and you may not ever meet me, but I'm looking at you now saying, I love you. I love every part of you. I love who you are. I love what you are. And I love what you're going to be. Because everybody deserves to hear that. If not one time in their life, if not one time during that day, that month, that week, that year, every person deserves to hear, I love you.
Oh, you're the Canadian version of our Mr. Rogers. You're our generation of Mr.
I would be
Rogers.
honored
Yeah.
to wear that sweater. I would be honored to wear that sweater. Oh my goodness. I watched Mr. Rogers growing up, and I
Right?
tell you, it was an impactful, his calming demeanor, his confidence, his ability to connect with those around him.
And
It's
that's
a
what
gift.
you provide, though, honestly. When I watch you doing the story time, and I'm guilty, I've watched it a couple times. So
Good. That's what they're there
I
for.
I feel like I am back in when I was a kid, and just you're right, just that demeanor and everything else, and just he did touch little little topics and stuff like that was a little risque back in the day, and it's
Totally.
and you kind of embrace that, and you're kind of the next generation of that, so you've kind of been able to push that envelope, and you're providing such an amazing safe space for children to kind of be able to grow up and understand that even in the environment that we're living in may not be accepting, but what I'm seeing here and what's being educated in front of me, being read to me, is okay.
That's
And
right.
eventually there's going to be people that I will be meeting that will make this a bigger space and an okay space. And I think you're paving that way. So I truly applaud the Canadian Mental Health Association for partnering up with you. I think you couldn't ask for a better partnership, the two of you. So honestly,
That's been the pinnacle point of my career, and I've only been doing drag for 2 years. I've known drag about 4, and well, 5 now. I keep getting that number keeps growing, but my drag experience has been only 2 years. And I can't believe the transformation. I can't believe the evolution in myself. And I have never been more excited to grow old. I've never been more excited to take opportunities and to meet new people, to gain experience. Before, I was terrified because it would show too much of me.
right.
It would show a side of me that was open for scrutiny. And that would give that much more of a reason for someone to point the finger and say, oh yeah, look at them. I'm not even going to repeat half of the stuff because that is not in my life anymore. That power is not upholded over me anymore. I've taken that and I've used that energy and I said, you've had enough. I thank you for your opinion. I don't agree with it, and I am politely dismissing myself from this conversation. Good day. And if you have to rephrase that however you need to, and sometimes you don't need to say a thing. Sometimes actions speak louder than words. And so sometimes leading by example can be the most honorable thing you can do.
Oh, you just make me melt. Well, Darla, I know you have had such a busy day, and I do truly appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything that you wanted to add before we say our goodbyes?
Well, if anybody wants to locate myself, make sure that you tune in to the Canadian Mental Health Association Drag Storytime At the beginning of every month, the first Sunday of every month, I am blessed and given the opportunity to sign on to their page. So it's the Canadian Mental Health Association New Brunswick. So I did able to use the national page a couple times, but for the most part, it is on the New Brunswick page. So make sure that you tune in. And if you feel that you want something like that in your community, message your leaders, be a voice. Don't think that you're just going to fall into the wayside. And I won't lie to you. Sometimes it might, sometimes the email goes unnoticed. So send another one, send another one, send another one. Demand what you deserve in life, because nobody's going to hand it to you until you start speaking out to say, I deserve this. With what we're going through right now as a Canadian society, I would be foolish to not take this opportunity to just have a moment of respect for the Indigenous community members. And I think that I would just like to just take a 5-second quiet moment to just say, we hear you, we see you, and our leaders will too. And if they don't, we will make sure they do. As a society, it is our obligation to do that. For those lives that we will never be able to meet, taken, and that's only 215 that we've discovered. I cannot imagine the amount of atrocities that are hidden. That's not okay. And we need to expect better of our leaders. We need to expect better of our community. And if it can't be seen in them, let it be seen in you. Let your voice echo that. Let your messages present that. Use whatever platform you can, and don't ever be afraid to speak out your mind, because you're the only one that may be able to have that opinion. And in the end of the day, you're going to then see another person with the same opinion and another person with the same opinion. And then 2 becomes 4, becomes 6, becomes 8, becomes 10.
Starts
and
the
before you know it,
conversations.
we start to talk.
Yeah.
We start to learn. There's resources out there. If people are listening and still do not know what is going on in our world today, tune in, listen, and learn, and better yourself. There's no excuse anymore. 2021 has more resources than we were ever given as kids. When the internet was just presented in 1991, I thought that was the coolest thing since the beeswax. I thought, oh my goodness, I can make my own web page. How cool is that? I have my own www. Now looking back, I laugh thinking about how small of a world we had, but how big of an experience we can now have. The world hasn't changed the size, but the connections and the resources we have available have exponentially times themselves by 20, 30, 40, 50. Absolutely. And so there's no excuse anymore to say, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm telling you, what are you going to do about it now?
Yeah.
That's the moment that is the catalyst. It's not always about saying, well, I wasn't raised this way. I was raised with very inappropriate comments being said about Indigenous community members, about French and English language barriers, about bigotry, about how I was as bad as the sinful nature itself, puked out of the devil. And I went through conversion therapy experiences where I was brought into a bottom of a church and tried to have my sexuality prayed over so that I could be anointed and blessed to go forward in life. In the end of the day, it's about taking hold of what you can in your own life. I will never, never appreciate what they've done to me, and I still deal with that on a daily basis, but I can't give it any more power. I can't give it any more attention, because in the end of the day, what they did was wrong and what I'm doing is right. Exactly. And I will live my life the way I see fit, as long as I'm not hurting myself or others. Then stand back and watch if you want, join in if you can. But in the end of the day, actions are going to change this community. Actions is going to change this country. We still have a long ways to go, The LGBTQI plus two spirited is just another train on that long, arduous journey where we still have gender, we still have racism, we still have ethnicities and minorities that are still belittled for simply being who they are.
Yeah.
We can use this opportunity to be a light in ourselves to then shine bright so that people can listen to what we have to say, so that they can listen to what you, the viewer, has to say. If you feel compelled to message, to learn, to grow, do it. Do it. There's no better advice given to me than simply two teachers in my whole educational experience growing up that looked at me and said, you are perfect the way you are. There's not a thing wrong with you. And I will be here for you when you need it. I will be here to tell you that every time you need to hear it. And to now be that voice in the community for those who need to hear it it's the most I could ask for. And I can't believe that where I am today, and I am so excited to see where I'm gonna be.
We're excited to see where you're gonna be.
Yeah, so tune in if you need to. I have shows all around New Brunswick, usually whether it's here in Fredericton, it's in St. John, or in Moncton. Tune in and figure out where you're going to be able to catch Miss Amour Love next. One day, hopefully, she'll be having an international tour. I have dreams of doing a private, personal show featuring the strong moments in our history as evolution that can define those moments where we switched gears. And I'm going to have regalia dressed in time periods for that moment, and to come out and to speak about that person that changed history.
Good for you.
Where they died not knowing the influence of what they're going to have for the future, but knowing that there's something better than this. There's something better than what we have today. And I could never have believed it 20 years ago. And now I can only wait for the next 20 years of what we're going to get.
Absolutely. Oh, goosebumps. Well, I hope everything, I hope all your dreams come true. And honestly, with your drive and your passion and everything, I think honestly the sky is the limit for you. So I'm truly so excited to be working with you for the next few weeks and having lots of chats with you. And we will also include within the description here, we'll put the links to your pages, but also to the Canadian Mental Health Association New Brunswick specifically, so they can tune in for your stories. So Amour Love, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for speaking so honestly and so open. And you're just such a breath of fresh air, and I really hope we get to chat again sooner than later, love.
Oh, from the bottom of Miss Amour's heart, I love you all so much. And Nikki, thank you personally for giving me this opportunity. I cannot wait to share these experiences with you and to grow as new friends. I already feel connected to you. Our energies, how we haven't met before, well, that's okay. We won't dwell on that, but we are now excited about what we can do together as this new opportunity gives us.
Absolutely. I think we will definitely have a lot of future events together. So I really can't wait to speak with you again. And please keep cool and enjoy the rest of your evening, and stay safe, and hope to see you soon, love. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.